Okay, welcome back. This is kind of part 2 of preparing some wheels for track days and figuring out how easy it is to swap the front wheel and anything that we need to do to change that. So anyway, the spacer arrived that slots into the middle of the wheel, but it looks like this just kind of could float within there. So we're going to put the actual first bearing in one side first, and then this will slot in, and then the second bearing goes in. What I'm going to do is pop the bearings in the freezer for maybe an hour, and that'll make installation a bit easier. I'm just going to give these a little rub with some very fine grit sandpaper, just to make sure that these surfaces are nice and smooth as well. Okay, so we've got the middle spacer and the bearings tapped in now. I did do some measurements comparing like the height of this face to the bearing middle part, and I compared that to my standard wheel, and everything looks good. So everything seems to be in the same position, and so I just need the oil seals. I'm waiting for the oil seals to arrive. They're not really oil seals, but they just keep the dirt out of these bearings here. So my next test then is to see if I can fit this in without difficulty. When I took out the standard wheel, I had to kind of rub right against the mudguard there just to get it out. So I have a feeling that this won't slot in nicely because it's a taller tyre. And if that's the case, then I need to think about modifying my stand to try and get a bit more height. So we'll see how that goes. So there you have it. The MT-09 front wheel is slotted in with a new slick. Nothing's really buttoned up yet, but I just wanted to verify and double check that everything fits nicely, and it does. The brakes all line up. The spacers are all good, so very pleased about that. I did have to get this wheel in, I had to release one side of the mudguard, and that gave me enough to slot the tyre in. But yeah, I'd like to obviously not have to do that, so I'm going to be thinking about a solution so that I don't have to mess about with the mudguard to swap tyres and wheels, blah blah blah. So watch this space. Okay, so it's a whole week later. I had to go away with work for the week, but just to cover this off again, so the difference between the slick and the road tyre ends up being 5 millimeters higher on the axle point. So it raises, the difference is 10 mil in diameter from the slick to the road tyre on the front. So therefore we're pushing up the front 5 millimeters when we run the slick. And if you remember, this was like 10 or 15, I think. So it's kind of doing this a little bit when we're running slicks. Anyway, so that's all just stuff to be aware of anyway. Now, here I am. So this is the Saturday. We're on track on Monday. So I'm just running through my usual track day preparations, which includes, I'll start from the back, we'll go to the front. Includes the quick removal of the fender plate. If you remember, we've got that as a mod on our bike, and this cover to cover up the socket when we're not using that. Side stand and side stand switch is bypassed. If you remember, we did that. I've checked the oil level. I'm doing a bolt check, checking everything's still tight, checking on my fluids. So I've checked the oil. We've changed the battery to the lithium spec battery, so a bit of weight savings there. Took the mirrors off. We've got a mirror plate on this side, and we've got a camera mount on this side. So we'll see if we get any interesting footage from that. We've got the lights all taped up. That's looking nice and slick. So I've also pushed out the bars a tiny bit more that way. So I've got even more sort of leverage, even more ability to position my body off of these bars a bit better. I also run like a lock wire on the key, because believe it or not, they can easily get lost, and even in a crash they can pop out, but not on a newish bike, but on an older worn out ignition they can do. So yeah, we're nearly there. I've run the bike up to temperature and back down again, just to make sure all's well with the battery, just give it a little bit of a tickle charge, if you like, from the bike itself. Right, so the only thing I've got left to do really, we got the new oil seals for the front wheel. So I gently tapped those in with a hammer. The paint, you know, did get a little damaged, but I really don't care. And so we're going to balance this wheel up now. That was my last job really for my track day preparations. Apart from grabbing all the tools back together again and packing up the truck. So I've run the generator, made sure that that's still healthy and good to go. We've got the fuel to go and collect. This usually does me fine. I didn't even go through a whole one of this last time. I did start the bike with about half a tank of fuel at the last track day. So I didn't even get through even maybe a third of that last time. But we're going to be on some longer straights, so we might go through some fuel a bit quicker. So this is what I use premium in, and then I just use standard for the generator. I did take off this strap here just to make it look a little sleeker. This is the passenger seat. I took the strap off just to make it look a little sleeker, but it's just a minor thing really. So yeah, I think I'll just do a little double check on my suspension, the theory settings, you know, see where we are with the bouncers and stuff. Just make sure I'm happy with that. So yeah, very soon we'll be back on track and I cannot wait. The weather's looking a little bit tetchy, so if it is damp, I'll be running these. If it rains, I'll be running these and just be, you know, extra slow. But I'm very excited to try out the slicks as well. It's very exciting and I cannot wait. So stay tuned. If there's anything else, I'll come back. If there isn't, I'll see you in the next video, which should include all of the track day footage. So come on, baby, look after me out there. I'll look after you as best I can, and hopefully we'll have a good day. All right, guys, bye for now.